Alright, so now we're going to be the manual muscle testing of the upper extremity, starting with the shoulder. So first we're going to start with shoulder flexion. And then so we're going to have Ben just kind of drape his arm down. And then for the, this is with gravity, and he's going to just do the shoulder flexion, bring his arm up. That's a 3. If he can bring it to the midway point, and if he can hold it against resistance and not break away, that's a 5. If he breaks away, that's a 4. I'm going to have him lay on his side to eliminate on his left side for his right arm. And then he's going to do the shoulder flexion again, and that's a 3. If he... sorry, that's a 2. And then if he attempts to, but he can't fully do it, and I can still feel his muscle move, then it's a 1. And if he cannot do that, and I also can't feel the contractions, then it's a 0. Now we're going to do shoulder extension against gravity. I'm going to ask him to extend his shoulder. That's a 3. At the midpoint, he's going to bring it down a little bit to the midpoint. I'm going to push on it, and if he holds and doesn't break, that's a 5. If he breaks, then it's a 4. I'm going to ask him to lay on his side again. And then he's going to do it without gravity eliminated, and that's a 2. And then he's going to bring it back to where he started. And if I palpate and I can feel it contract, but he cannot do the motion fully, it's a 1. If he can't do motion or no contraction felt either, that's a 0. Next we have, I believe, is horizontal or vertical abduction. And alright, so for vertical abduction, he's just gonna be sitting, and then for with gravity, he's gonna raise it up. That's a 3. And then we're gonna bring it to the midpoint here, and I'm gonna push down on his arm with a little bit of resistance. And if he doesn't break, that's a 5. If he breaks, that's a 4. I'm gonna ask him to lay on his back. Yep.
Oh yeah, on it.
Yep. And then that will eliminate gravity, and he's gonna do the horizontal abduction. That's a 2 right there. I'm gonna ask him to, and then if he cannot do the full motion, and I can still feel his arm or shoulders contract, then that's a 1. And if I can't feel contraction or see movement, then it's a 0. And next we have horizontal AB adduction. Horizontal AB adduction. He's going to be here, which this is with gravity involved, and that's going to be the adduction, and that's a 3. I'm going to bring him to the midpoint, and I'm going to give a little resistance. If he doesn't break, that's a 5. If he breaks, that's a 4. I'm going to have him sit up. And then this is gravity eliminated. And if he brings it in, then that's a 2. If I palpate and he can't fully bring it in, and I can still feel the contraction, that's a 1. If he can't contract it and I can't feel it and I don't see any motion, that's a 0. For the horizontal abduction, now he's gonna lay on his stomach, and now this is with gravity involved, and that's a perfect 3 right there. Get a better view. And then I'm gonna bring it to the midpoint, and if I push down and he resists, then he doesn't break, that's a 5. If he breaks, that's a 4. And internal rotation, right? What do we got next?
This is just 2 and 1.
Oh, and then for gravity eliminated for horizontal abduction, now we have him sitting back up, and if he can move it back on his own, that's a 2. If he can't move it back on his own and there's just a little bit of contraction, that's a 1. And if I can't feel contraction or see movement, that's a 0.